So this tutorial is going to be a game animation tutorial. We're going to recreate the Pac-Man game from the 80s. So let's go ahead and get that started. First thing we're going to do is of course create our characters. So that should be pretty simple. Let's go into your create menu. If you could then go to polygon primitives. If you can go to the settings next to sphere just to make sure we're all working off of the same proportions. As far as the as settings go, if you can reset the settings, but we're looking for radius of 1, axis divisions, and height divisions of 20. And you can go ahead and drop that off. All right, and then there is our Pac-Man for now. Okay, let's go ahead and bring Pac-Man so that it is on your grid. So if you can go to your translate y, if you remember our radius was 1, so all we have to do is put a 1 over there, and then we have it right on top of the grid. So that looks pretty good. All right, the other thing of course we should do is probably color Pac-Man. So if you can right click, choose assign new material. Okay, we are going to go to Lambert. And for this Lambert, if you can go ahead and name it something along the lines of like yellow material, Pac-Man material, whatever works for you. I'm going to choose an approximately Pac-Man color, which is that kind of yellow. All right, and that's looking pretty good. So there's our Pac-Man, sort of. Yeah, we're gonna definitely have to mod it. Yeah, even though it is a very simple character. The other thing that we're gonna do is let's give it like a plane or like a ground to work with. So if you can go back to your create menu, polygon primitives. Let's go to the square next to plane. We should reset this. It's gonna have divisions. We don't really need them. So if you can set your width division and your height divisions to 1. As far as the width and height goes, we will probably work with something like maybe 20 by 20. Yeah, so width and height 20 and 20, width divisions and height divisions though, let's keep those at 1 and then go ahead and drop that off. Yeah, so that'll be our plane that your character is kind of moving on. I think that should be enough space. Actually I might end up changing this, so I'm going to go into my channel box, go to polyplane, and maybe bump this up a little bit more. So just to make things a little bit more cleaner, we'll go with width of 30, height of 30. Yeah, and that should cover as much ground as we need. All right, we're going to call this literally ground. Yes, if you can rename that in your channel box. I'm going to right click on this, assign a new material to this as well. This will be another Lambert. You can call this ground material. I'm going to literally use the color, so I'm calling this black material, and then hitting the return key. So let's drop that off. Yeah, we can go to the like there, should be pretty good. All right, okay, so now we have 2 pieces. The last thing we're gonna do is, this is the part that we're gonna be animating. We're gonna be creating the like little pellets that Pac-Man eats. So if you can go ahead and back into your create menu, polygon primitives, we are gonna go back to sphere, and if you can go to the settings for this, we're gonna make it a lot smaller. So if you folks can go ahead and highlight your radius, and instead of having your radius at 1, what we'll do is maybe we'll put it to like 0.2 and do a create. Let's see how that looks. It's probably going to show up again at the bottom of your grid, and yeah, this proportion looks pretty good. Yeah, so again, the settings that we used for this new sphere is going to be radius of 0.2. Yeah, and you can go ahead and create that. Let's go to your front view. Okay, and take a look at it over there. One thing we definitely want to make sure with this one is that your pellet is not like in the grid. Yeah, so let's kind of bring that up. If you need your location for that, here's our channel box. For your translate y, we can put that at 1 as well. Okay, and then for your translate x, for this one we'll kind of go with translate x of 2. Yeah, so translate x of 2. We will call this new item pellet. Yes, if you can rename it to pellet, another one of those words that does not look correct when you type it. In fact, we'll call this pellet 1. Yeah, so we're actually going to have a total of 5 pellets here. Yeah, so here's pellet number 1. Let's go ahead and get the coloring right. So I believe in Pac-Man these should be white as well. So if you can right click, assign new material. Here we go again, Lambert. Okay, again, label it however you need to label it. Pellet material, white material. Something along those lines is perfect. Okay, so I'm going to drop off that. Okay, and there's our pellet. already for our Pac-Man. Doesn't look too hungry though. We'll definitely have to address that later. Okay, all right, so it's looking pretty good. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do is we are going to duplicate these pellets. Yeah, so let's go ahead and take this pellet and do a Command D. Okay, and then the next one, and you notice I'm going to bring up my channel box so you can kind of control the placement of it. I'm going to bring this over 4 more units. Yeah, so if you notice, you're kind of bringing that over. So your translate X is going to, this pellet was at 2. Your translate X for this one will be at 6. Yeah, so if you can drop that off over there. Then if you can also do another one, this one is also going to be another 4 units over, so your translate X is going to be a total of 10. Yeah, so again, placement for the pellets, yeah, your translate Y for all of them is 1, your translate X though is 2, then 6, then 10. Yeah, okay, so that'll be our 3 pellets that are going to go in the X direction. I also want you folks to kind of set up one that's kind of going in the negative Z direction as well. So if you can select pellet number 3, yeah, and if you notice, because we named the first one pellet 1, the other 2 kind of fall in line as far as the naming scheme, so super convenient. We're then going to select pellet 3, duplicate, yeah, so Command D, let's bring that over. We're going to push this back, so your translate X stays the same. However, we are going to be pushing it 4 units back, so if you can put your translate Z at -4, yeah, so -4. Okay, and then we'll duplicate it one more time. This will be our last pellet. And we're going to put your translate Z for that at -8. Yeah, so -8. All right, and then that's our course basically, as far as like, okay, these are all the items that we need. Obviously, if we wanted to, we could definitely add a lot more, like if you wanted to add the maze and so on. But for now, for our animation practice, this is perfect. All right, okay, so let's take a look at Pac-Man. Pac-Man is not ready to eat. Clearly he can't ingest anything, so we're gonna have to definitely work on that. So what we're gonna do is jump to your front view. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump to our front view. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into face mode. Yeah, so if you can right click, go into face mode. We're going to get rid of all the faces at the bottom. Yeah, so you can kind of see, because of our placement, yeah, we can clearly see our lower hemisphere, yeah, our southern hemisphere. We can right click, go into face mode, select all of those, and just press delete. Yeah, and then this will be our top of your Pac-Man. Yeah, so we cut him in half. Yeah, pretty brutal. All right, let's go ahead and rename this. So your P-Sphere 1 is now going to be Pac-Man top. Yeah, so we'll call that Pac-Man top. Okay, and that should all work. As far as like our translates, we can leave those alone. We're also going to create the bottom portion. So with Pac-Man top selected, if you can do a Command D, and then you're going to have a Pac-Man top 1. Okay, because this is not going to be the top anymore, we want this to be the bottom portion. If you can rename that, yeah, so that'll become your Pac-Man bottom. As far as your rotation goes, yeah, we actually don't want it like taking up the same amount of space. So let's make sure that it's perfectly aligned at the bottom. To do that, we're going to look at our rotate Z field, and if you can put that at 180. Yeah, so your rotate Z is at 180. All right, and then now we have our sphere. Okay, that is Pac-Man, but the good thing about it is now we can actually have him open and close his mouth, yeah, because we have our rotation. Okay, the good thing about this too is, if you notice, the rotation kind of stayed in the center, yeah, since it started off as a sphere. Okay, all right, so that's our Pac-Man top. There's our Pac-Man bottom. Let's go ahead and group these. Yeah, so right now our Pac-Man top and our Pac-Man bottom, we could animate them separately, but it's harder to work with, so it's usually a little bit better if we kind of consolidate. Yeah, so let's put them in a group. I'm going to take Pac-Man top, then press my Command key in the outliner and click on Pac-Man bottom. You can also shift click in here, either way is fine. Okay, but we're going to make sure we have both of those selected, and then we're going to group it. You can do it one of 2 ways, right? You can either go edit group, or you can use your Command G. Either way is great. But what will happen is, once you group it, yeah, all of a sudden they all kind of collapse into here in your channel box. Let's rename this. So now this is going to be Pac-Man, and we'll just call it group, yeah, just to be a little bit clearer. If you want to see your layout, of course, if we click on the plus sign, there's your Pac-Man top and there's your Pac-Man bottom. Yeah. Now, as far as the group goes, unfortunately, your pivot point is going to really want to go to the center. So if you notice, it dropped back into the center of your scene. Yeah, so your X, your Y, and your Z are at 0. Not too helpful for us. I mean, we can make it work, but to make things a little bit easier, let's make sure that we center the pivot so that's in the center of your Pac-Man group as well. So with your Pac-Man group selected, let's go into your modify menu. And then if you can click on the center pivot option. Yeah, so modify center pivot. Okay, and then that'll bring it back up to its original spot. Yeah, now the good thing is Pac-Man top, Pac-Man bottom, yeah, your rotation point is in the right place. All right, okay, so we're kind of ready to go here. We are about we're about set. So our next step is going to be kind of animating your Pac-Man so that it opens and closes its mouth. Yeah, so this is gonna be kind of like a video game sprite, and what a video game sprite usually is like, it's just kind of movement, but usually the sprite will be like in one, kind of stays in one place. Yeah, and then afterwards what we're gonna do is we're gonna move the group around and it'll make it look like Pac-Man's kind of consuming all of the pellets. Yeah, so let's get that started. Here's your setup for that. So we're gonna select your Pac-Man top, and we're going to keyframe it. Yeah, so if you can make sure you're on your first frame, hit the S key, okay, and then click on the Pac-Man bottom, hit the S key as well. Yeah, so Pac-Man top has the S key, Pac-Man bottom has the S key selected. These are keyframes, okay, so they're both locked in at 1. Yeah, okay. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the mouth open and close every 12 frames. Yeah, so if we can now jump to your 12th frame. Yeah, so we jump to our 12th frame, and then I'm going to ask you to select your Pac-Man top. We're going to open the mouth. Yeah, so we're going to open the mouth, and for your rotate Z, if you notice, as soon as you start moving it, all your area over here turns from pink to red. Yeah, we're going to lock that in. So if you can change your rotate Z, we're going to switch that to 30. Yeah, so we want it to open up about 30 degrees. Yeah, okay. Now it's not going to look like he has enough room to eat the pellet unless he bends over, right? But the good thing is this is only the top jaw. Yeah, so again, we're on the 12th frame. We rotated Z by 30. Once you have both of those, if you can press the S key, we'll lock that in. Okay, and if we play through, right, you can do a scrub, so you can click on this and drag. Yeah, now we have our opening, and when we actually go back, it looks like it's closing back up again. Yeah, which is going to be a big hint as to how we're gonna have him move along. Yeah, so that's our open. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the bottom. So if you can close that, if you can select that one, let's hit the S key, yeah, to make sure that we have a keyframe there. And then for our rotation here, yeah, we need to actually go in the opposite direction. So if you remember our top, we went up 30 degrees. For your rotate Z, we're actually going to go minus 30. Yeah, so right now it's at 180. We're going to subtract 30 degrees over here. So instead of having it at 180, we're going to subtract 30. So that should be 150. If you hit return, okay, now we have the bottom jaw is opening at the same amount. Yeah, so in total, yeah, we have our 30 up here and we have our 30 down here. As soon as you do that, you'll notice your rotate Z has switched to pink. We're going to hit the S key to lock that in. Yeah. All right, let's see if it works. Yeah, so again, you can jump back to 1 and you can kind of drag this open. Yeah, and then we should be able to see our Pac-Man is able to like chomp on things now. Yeah, which is a relief. Yeah, if not pellets to the face. Yeah, but no consumption, which would suck for poor Pac-Man. All right, so we got our mouth open now. So let's go ahead and continue with this. Okay, so obviously he doesn't keep his mouth open and just kind of like live like that for the rest of his life. Pac-Man's interesting because like when he's chomping, and that's almost like him walking. Yeah, so that's going to be our pattern. Yeah, so every 12 frames we're going to have it either open or closed. Yeah, so if that's the pattern, 1 closed, 12 open, that means at 24, right, 12 frames later, we should have it back closed again. So you can jump to 24. Again, let's go ahead and select the top one. Okay, we can hit the S key to make a keyframe. For your rotate Z, we were at 30. We can put this back at 0. Yeah, so you can put that back at 0. Okay, and then hit the S key. That should lock that in. Same thing with the bottom. Yeah, let's hit the S key. Yeah, so we're selecting it, hit the S key. At this one, we're putting back at 180. Yeah, so we're putting that back at 180 and hit the S key. All right, so that's gonna be our open and close. This is for one chomp, yeah. So this will work for one pellet. Okay, we're gonna have to do quite a bit of chomping, you know, because again, after this point, yeah, that'll only consume the first pellet. We want to have this one, this one, this one, and this one, yeah. So we have four more to go. So right now, if you notice your setup is 24 frames, yeah, we actually want to have enough where he can kind of consume all the pellets. Okay, so it stops at 36 frames. That's like 1.5 seconds. That's clearly not enough. So we're gonna go over to this area right over here. I believe it'll say something along the lines of like 36. Yeah, let's bump that up. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump this up to let's try 120. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and try 120, and I'm going to go to this timeline over here and drag it all the way so we can kind of see all the frames. Yeah, okay, and that should give us enough latitude. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and continue this process, right? Some of you folks are going to be jumping ahead on here, which is perfectly fine. Okay, so again, we're back to close. Remember, every 12 frames, it's back. It's alternating open, close, open, close. So now we got to get to 36. Once again, I'm going to the top, hit the S key, rotate Z, back to 30, S key, hit return, and then S key to lock that in. Get to the bottom, hit the S key, click on this, switch that to 150. Okay, hit return, hit the S key, which should be good. Okay, and then we're just going to continue this process. Yeah, after 36, now here's 48. Okay, I'm going to do that with the top one, rotate Z back to 0, S key, and then bottom one, again, rotate Z, S key, switch that one to 180, so on and so forth. Yeah, so go ahead and drop those in. We're going to go all the way up to 120. Yeah, okay. All right, so I got to get this going. Okay, let's see. Oh, it looks like at 48, I did not keyframe that, so I gotta go 180, hit the S key. All right, then it's 60 again. Okay, and then this one, I do want to make sure this one is back open at 30. Okay, so S key that, and then the bottom one, S key, put this at 150. All right. So that's the manual way to do this. Yeah, and every once in a while, if you can go back and check to make sure that the mouth opens and closes. Yeah, if you accidentally put these back to back, it's gonna look like he gets like lockjaw. So either he gets stuck in the open position, or his mouth gets stuck in the closed position. All right. Now, there are other ways we can actually do this. So if you notice too, we already have like set rotations, right? So at 48, I have everything closed. At 60, I had everything open. Yeah, I can reuse that information. So for example, if I go to 48, okay, and I have Pac-Man top and bottom, I'm going to select both of those. Okay, and then on my mouse, I'm going to hit my middle mouse button and I'm going to drag it. Yeah, so the next time that everything should be closed, it should be at 72. So I'm going to jump this all the way up to 72. And if you notice, when I middle mouse dragged, even though I went over 60 and the mouse should have been like opening and closing, nothing happened, right? Okay, so basically what that's doing is that's saying whatever's here, we're bringing it over to 72. Now when I hit the S key over here, that'll lock in both my top and my bottom. Yeah, so if you notice, my top is at 0, my bottom is at 180. Now let's check to make sure that worked. Yeah, remember 48 is closed, 72 is closed. That means 60 should have been open, so now it should kind of let us alternate. Yeah, okay, so that's another option that you can use is if you want to, you can kind of, since you already have a feel for rotating and making your keyframes, we can just reuse them. Yeah, so again, 60 is where the last time that is open. I'm going to middle mouse button drag. Looks like I need to get to looks like 84. Okay, I'm then going to hit the S key over there, and what that's going to do is that'll keep it open, and you notice I'm kind of bringing that over. So that'll speed up things a bit. Yeah, so 72, that one should get to 96, I believe. Top and bottom are selected, hit the S key. Okay, and then at 84, the next one should be at 108. Yeah, so let me do that. Okay, so close, open, and then our last one is going to be closed. So that's 96, middle mouse button drag all the way to 120. Make sure that I have my top and bottom selected, hit the S key. Yeah. All right, and I'm gonna test this out. Okay, but yeah, go ahead and make sure your Pac-Man is pretty much chomping for the full 120 frames. If you're doing the math, that's going to be, remember, 24 frames a second. Yeah, so that'll be 5 seconds worth of animation right there. Okay, so let's see. Whoa, all right. Oh, another thing too. So sometimes when we're playing, our playback gets a little crazy. If you notice that like your animation is going like too insanely fast, there's a good chance that like your playback is like jumping frames. Yeah, so I'm actually going to go right click on this play button. I'm gonna choose playback speed. Yeah, so again, right click on the play button, playback speed. If you know it's saying play every frame free, yeah, and it's just kind of blasting to that as quickly as it can. I'm gonna change it and tell it, no, please do this in real time, okay? Otherwise, you're just gonna give me anxiety watching that. Yeah, so again, right click, playback speed, real time, okay? And then when you play it back, this is the actual speed of your Pac-Man, okay? So thank goodness, yeah. The other way would have been just stressful to watch all the way around, yeah. All right. Okay, so that is our setup for a Pac-Man. Okay, if you notice, your Pac-Man is working as a sprite, and that means that like the internal movements are good. The next video is going to focus in on moving your Pac-Man around your scene so that it looks like it's consuming the pellets.